everyone could have a seat, where I'm just about to call in the Boy Scouts and Honor Guard. Welcome, everybody. I'm this year's Wreaths Across America Coordinator, Esther Stevens. I'm so happy to see everybody here in order to honor our military and the military families that have sacrificed so much for us over the years and still do so. Entering is the North Carolina Wing Honor Guard, followed by the Boy Scouts, Troop 25, our speakers, and the cadets of the Civil Air Patrol Squadron NC 300. Please have a seat.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Maher, Mayor of Waxhaw. On behalf of my fellow town board members and our town manager, we welcome you to Waxhaw and thank you for being here. I also have a special thanks to pass on. For those of you that don't know me, every morning I talk to my dad, who's 92. He's a veteran of World War II. And I was sharing with him what I get the honor to do today. And he paused for a moment. He had his own moment of silence. And then he told me, didn't ask me, told me to pass on his thanks to all of you for remembering and having this service today. Would you all please join me in a moment of silence to remember the fallen, the prisoners of war, those missing in action, as well as honor those who have served and those who are still serving this great nation. Thank you. Before the Civil Air Patrol Honor Guard and wreath bearers enter, could all veterans who are present here today please stand? Thank you for your service. Now please, let us all stand as the Honor Guard and wreath bearers come forward to signal the commencement of this remembrance ceremony.
The following opening remarks will be from the Civil Air Patrol NC 300 Cadet Commander, Captain Jessica McGill.
Please be seated. We are gathered here today at this memorial site to remember that we are one nation with one flag. Towns across this great nation have memorial walls and cemeteries that show the names of men and women who gave their lives so that we may live in freedom and peace. As Americans, we should remember to celebrate these heroes and be thankful to be living in a free society made up of many people from different races and walks of life. Unlike many countries around the world, our families are free to worship how they want, raise children in their own view, vote without fear, and travel without restriction. Unfortunately, the freedoms we enjoy today have come at a great cost. Winston Churchill once said, "Many forms of government have been tried and will be tried in this world of sin and woe." No one pretends democracy is perfect or all-wise. Indeed, it has been said that democracy is the worst form of government, except for all those that have been tried and will be tried from time to time. We are here to honor the sacrifices of the men and women who gave their lives to protect this form of government. As the cadet commander of the composite squadron of the Waxhaws, I am here to say thank you for choosing to join us today to help honor the soldiers that have given their lives to our country, military personnel both serving and retired, and the families of military personnel serving around the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Paige Simpson sings our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, we're so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Paige, for your beautiful tribute. At this time, the American Legion 208 Commander, Army veteran Jim Granger will be speaking.
Turn on the mic. Please be seated. Please be seated. We are here today to honor our fallen and their families. They taught us the meaning of duty, honor, courage, and commitment. They fought for the security of this great nation, for the safety of their homes, and for world peace. They humbled tyrants and defended the innocent and liberated the oppressed. And this day is one way we remember those who sacrificed so that we can live free today. We owe our fallen the life we know today. How is it possible to honor such men and women, both dead and living? Perhaps we should just say this, a quote from Abraham Lincoln. He said, "Gold is good in its place, but living or dead, brave, patriotic men and women are better than gold." We are in your debt, and we thank you. May God always bestow His blessings upon you. Let us ponder the words of General George Patton, who said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn men and women who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men and women lived." Many here today are veterans of wars, from conflicts that America has had to fight in order to protect the innocent and the oppressed. America has always been and will continue to be the first nation that stands up for the freedoms of people around the world. Many of you present today have had family that have answered the call and served our country well. Again, we say thank you, and we are indebted to you. Presently, we have many men and women serving in all branches of the military, both at home and in places around the world. They are the best trained and best equipped force in the world. We honor them and their families for the sacrifice they continually to make in order for our country to be safe from terrorism, hatred, and injustice. We show our national unity all across the United States to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and help teach our children the value of freedom. And a very special thanks today to the Civil Air Patrol and the Boy Scouts who put on this program. We are proud to be a part of your service. At this time, the Honor Guard will assist our military representatives in presenting the Remembrance Wreaths. I would like to present Specialist 4 Bill Black, who will be laying a wreath in memory of those who served and in honor of those currently serving in the United States Army.
Ready, step, freeze, and up. Hold up, up.
Lance Corporal Richard Patterson of Waxhaw will now lay a wreath in memory of those who served and in honor of those currently serving in the United States Marines and Merchant Marine Corps.
Freeze, and up. Hold up, up.
HM2 Debbie Benkowski will lay a remembrance wreath in memory of those who served and in honor of those currently serving in the United States Navy.
Present. Ho! Hold up. Ho!
Major Sandra Bushnell, a member of American Legion Post 208, will lay a remembrance wreath in memory of those who served and in honor of those currently serving in the United States Air Force.
Present. Ho! Hold up. Ho!
Petty Officer First Class Nelson Godby, also from American Legion Post 208, will lay a wreath in memory of those who served and in honor of those currently serving in the United States Coast Guard.
Present. Stop. Hold up. Up.
State Representative Craig Horn, would you please lay a remembrance wreath in honor of the 93,129 United States servicemen whose last known status was either prisoner of war or missing in action. These individuals have never returned to their families, yet we shall not let them be forgotten.
Present. Up. Present. Up. Hold up. Up.
Please have a seat. Our special guest speaker today has served 8 years in the U.S. Air Force in the Department of Special Intelligence. As a veteran, he continues to serve our country as being our state's representative. He is our special guest speaker. He also speaks at numerous events around the world. He is a Churchill admirer like myself. It is a pleasure to introduce to you North Carolina State Representative Craig Horn.
War is a terrible thing, but it's not the most terrible thing. The most terrible thing is to be without hope. Today we honor those Americans that served and sacrificed, those persons that put themselves forward, that wrote a check in the amount of their very own life, made it payable to the American people and signed it, often with their own blood. They did this so that our community and our country, nay the world, would have hope for a peaceful and productive future. With so many young people today not eligible or not even willing to wear the uniform, the veteran is often asked, why did you serve? Why do you lay these wreaths today? It's because we want to give back a small portion of what we have been given. We want our children to know what it means to live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. We want others to realize the tremendous honor it is to live in a country based on the highest ideals man has ever known. And we realize what a privilege it is to be an American and to serve and protect the very freedoms on which this nation was founded. Service to country is not necessarily linked to combat. Although I served in a time of war, in my 2 tours overseas, I was never assigned to a combat unit. I can, however, say that I fully appreciate the sentiment expressed by Sir Winston Churchill when he said, "There's no more exhilarating feeling than to be shot at without result." Those that serve and have served are men and women from every background and every walk of life. We honor here today those that made the ultimate sacrifice in service to this great nation. But we all knew that the price of freedom can be quite high. And yet we were willing to pay with our lives for something that mattered more than life itself. Although those that have borne the cost of battle carry a heavier burden, all of those that have worn the uniform of our country or community can rightly say, we served. To serve has meant that we gave up a little of our normal life, a life of school, family, or career, to do something beyond ourselves. The same can be said for the veterans of many types of national service. This is the essence of what makes us a great nation. As long as we have warriors ready to live and die for the ideals for which America stands, we will continue to be the greatest nation on earth. The American fighting man has fought around the world, not to conquer, but to liberate. Not for conquest, but for ideals. Not for treasure, but simply because it was the right thing to do. We here today remember, teach, and honor the lives of those who served our great nation and those that paid the ultimate price by doing everything that they could to uphold the values and ideals that we all hold dear in this nation. Their lives, their examples, and their sacrifice have instilled in us a pride and a sense of service that we leave to our children and our grandchildren and our community. Omaha Beach, Bastogne, Remagen, Dachau, Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, Busan, Incheon, Chosin, Da Nang, Pleiku, Iran, Baghdad, Kandahar, Tikrit, all places that are burned in our hearts and minds. But there were other places, places that we couldn't even pronounce, places where it was never reported that we even were there, but we were there. Places that no one has ever heard about, and we were there too. And there were those that simply disappeared, never to be known or to know. Yes, we were there too. We answered the call, saluted smartly, and charged the hill. I often think back and wonder, how did we do that? And why? How did we take those beaches on June 6th of 1944? The story is as old as the Cymbeline books, and it is a story that is a bit uniquely American. On D-Day 1944, thousands of poor country boys, many without a high school education, were mixed up with lawyers and doctors and rich kids from New York, Charlotte, and Atlanta, and some country boys from Union County. All came from the sea to charge the high ground. They faced an enemy with short supply lines, superior weapons, strong entrenchments, and big guns. Really big guns. Those boys were outnumbered, seasick, and tired, even before they hit the beach that morning. Pretty much everything that could go wrong did. Why were they successful on that fateful day in Normandy and on many other days on islands in the Pacific, the mountains of the CBI, jungles of Southeast Asia, and the villages of that godforsaken desert of endless sand and heat? It's a lesson for today. It was the heart, ingenuity, and boldness of those Americans that day. They followed orders, but when those plans went wrong, they created new ones. They took the initiative and learned on the fly. They kept at it, and they overcame. The very existence of our great nation now depends on how we transmit these values, ideals, and the spirit of ingenuity to our children and generations to come. This is a dauntless task for every American, and one that we must take seriously. The message of a shining city on the hill that we want our children to see is being replaced with a far different and very harmful message. Look what we're faced with each day on television, radio, and in the newspapers and magazines, for those that still read such things. A new message in emails and blogs and websites. These and other forms of daily contact contain images and messages that do not reflect our values and our culture. We all have a responsibility to stand up and push back on this stuff. We must stand up for what we know to be the truth and right, and to make sure our children inherit the same promises and opportunities that we've been given and that we've paid for in the blood and sacrifice of our veterans and their families. These veterans that we now honor and their families have earned the gratitude and support of all who treasure such virtue. Freedom is not free. The emotion generated simply by saying those words is almost more than I can bear. It is the reason that a tear rolls down my cheek almost every time I hear our national anthem. We stand in awe of the heroic men and women of the United States military who have served or are currently serving a nation that has not always been so grateful. These soldiers of freedom are and have served in thousands of locations around the world. On this very day, at this very moment, somewhere in the world, American men and women stand in the breach as a human buffer or calming influence in desperate places and in desperate circumstances. Sometimes they're a fierce and relentless force with no time for second guessing, no do-overs or reconsiderations. Sometimes they get it wrong, but most of the time, we actually get it right. I stand with you today, proud to be an American, a veteran, and a citizen living in a land that provides the brightest beacon of hope and freedom in the history of the world. We all commit ourselves to seeing that beacon continue to shine brightly for years and generations to come. Thank you to the Civil Labor Patrol and Esther Stevens for inviting me to make these remarks today. Thank you all that have come out to remember, honor, and teach so that we shall never forget the sacrifices that have been made for us. God bless you all here today, and God bless our great country.
Thank you, State Representative Craig Horn. Our pre-closing remarks are for the Composite Squadron of the Waxhaw's NC 300 Cadet Commander Squadron Commander Patricia Allen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Of the 147 memorials and cemeteries, the wreaths before you represent the commitment to remember and honor our fallen soldiers. They symbolize our respect to all whom have served and to those that are still serving in the armed forces today. We also honor the military families that sacrifice daily so that our freedoms can continue on. I challenge the youth here. The freedoms you enjoy today are not free. They are paid for by our military services. Please be sure to take advantage of that. To the public, I challenge you to be thankful to the veterans. When you see someone on the street, you don't always realize what they have given to our country, to our nation. And if you've been reading the papers lately, you hear that a good majority of our homeless are veterans. So please take time to remember them also. I'd like to extend a thank you to the American Legion, to the town of Waxhaw, to the Boy Scouts Troop 25, to our event committee, our guests, and our community groups that have all come together collaboratively to produce this ceremony today in thanks. A special thanks is going out to the Waxhaw Events Department. They had provided all of the wreaths that you will see at the Southside Cemetery this afternoon. We will be placing 170 wreaths on veterans' graves, thanks to the town of Waxhaw, who graciously donated that. But mostly, thank you for taking time to remember our sacrifices. In a day full of media where we don't remember what we did last week, it's nice to see everyone come out and remember something that we've done as a nation. Honor Guard, please address our dignitaries and lead us out. Thank you.
Honor guard. Up, down. Hey, hey.
Just the speakers and the honor guard will be leaving here. All right. In closing this portion of the ceremony, I want to thank you all for being here. Our next item will be laying the wreaths at Southside Cemetery in honor of our military families here in Waxhaw. This means a lot because the dynamic of the military family today is not just young, but is also aging. And many families are unable to come out today. And therefore, those of you who choose to come to the cemetery and lay a wreath, you are laying a wreath in their honor and the honor of their fallen soldier. We have a shuttle service for those of you who would like to take it to and from the cemetery until about 3 o'clock. If we also have a processional to which, if you would like to walk behind, it will be led by the American Legion 208 Sons, as well as the Veterans Day Out Project, led by Scotty Farb. It's a 3/4 of a mile walk to the cemetery. We'll be doing that about 1 o'clock. So that allows you, the veterans and military families that are here today, to partake in a lot of food and refreshments that the Ladies Auxiliary has prepared for you in honor of you, our military and our veterans. Please take advantage. There's no rush. Make your leisure to the cemetery. There are 22 suicides alone daily from post-traumatic stress. We lose 314 approximately every month from all the other wars. So pretty soon, in the next 3 years, we will not have any World War II veterans left. So the significance of laying a wreath, again I state, is so important to the families and so important to our communities, and especially to us, the Civil Air Patrol, who do the ceremony with the town, with committee members, so that we thank you from the bottom of our heart and hope that it's an honor that we are able to bestow to you for many years to come. I do want to make a correction. The town of Waxhaw has provided some of the wreaths in the committee, but Mary Morton, the Southside Cemetery Director, actually has placed so graciously and spent for the Wreaths to make sure that no sponsorship would run short, so that no military gravesite will go without a wreath today. So I thank you, Southside Cemetery, for providing those wreaths and ensuring that there's no soldier forgotten, no soldier left behind in its significance. The wreaths are representing the embodiment of each military member. The red bow symbolizes the blood that's been shed for our freedoms, for us to live in a society to which we can do all. We can fail, we can succeed, and keep trying and be prideful. Thank you, veterans, for being here today, for still serving our communities. Thank you, military families, for sacrificing along with your soldier in honor for us to live free. All right, if the family members please go ahead and proceed and lay a wreath at your loved one. Also, the rest of the public, if you can go ahead and come towards this trailer, let's grab a wreath, and you can also lay a wreath as well.
So we're going to read the names of the some of the veterans that are here in the service, that have been buried here in their branch of service. Clifford Anderson, Army. James K. Anderson, Navy. Thomas G. Anderson, Army. Donald Ashley. Francis R. Ashley. Green D. Austin, COA. Harry L. Austin, Army. Luther B. Baker, Army. Robert Baldwin, Navy. Roy Lee Barbie, Army. David C. Barrow, Navy. Baxter A. Bingham, Army. Ronald Bishop, Army. Charles H. Bilu. Joe B. Blackburn, Army. Robert G. Blomstrom, Marines. Herman J. Blythe, Army. Robert J. Blythe, Army. Samuel Thomas Blythe, Army. Thomas Irvin Blythe, Army. William Jefferson Blythe, Navy. Walter A. Sr. Bowles, Air Force. Frank O. Bronson, National Guard. Thomas Henry Burgess, Army. John L. Byram Sr. J. W. Byram. Clinton Carnes. James B. Carnes, Army. Jesse J. Carnes, Army. George Morris Carney, Air Force. William Thomas Carpenter, Jr., Army. Paul Wayne Carter, Marines. Robert Frank Carter, Army. Roy Eugene Caskey, Army. Benny Caddo, Army and Coast Guard. Harry W. Cobble. Maurice R. Koger, Air Force. Henry Gentry Couric. Lee Roy Couric, Jr., Army. James Irwin Crow, Army. William Hall Crow. Dan Davis. James C. Davis. James C. Davis, Jr.
Jefferson Davis, U.S. Navy. Robert
T. DiPiante, Ira H. Dearman, Navy, Charles Henry Dees, Navy, John C. Dusang, Army, Joseph I. Ergel, James Harry Ellis, Army, Salvador Albert Esposito, Navy, Isra Leroy Estes Jr., Army, Clifford C. Fowler, Army, William H. Furr, Army, Charles Philip Gamble, Army, Frank W. Gamble, Army, Tony Garcia, Army, Stephen Michael Galls, Navy, Merlin Marcus Giroux, Army, Pearl R. Geiser, Navy, Clarence Gordon, John Paul Gordon, Marine, James Clifford Green Sr., Army, Zeb B. Green, Limmel Edwin Dewin, Earl Hagler, Army, Ernest B. Hancock, Army, Kershaw Hancock,
Whereabouts?
over in this far corner. G. Harmon, Air Force, Floyd M. Haywood, Army National Guard, Harry Haywood, Army, James Daniel Hooks, Army, Leonard Hudson, Army, William Dewey Hudson, Army, Ralph Joyner, Air Force, James A. Kennedy, Edward Wallace Kimball Sr., Air Force, Frank Krause, Army, John Willard Ledford, Army, Arthur L. Lemons, Army, Newton T. Lemons, Jack Hardy Linker, Watson L. Locke, Army, W. J. McCain, Joseph A. McGuire, Navy, J. Baxter McGuirt, Army, and Charles B. McGuirt, Army.
Charles Vernon McGirt, Army, Jesse M. McGirt, Tyrone E. McGirt, Army, Wayland McGirt, Army, John H. McKenzie, Army, Nellie L. McLean, Army, Harry McLaughlin, James Alexander McLean, James W. McLean, Jerry Allen McManus, Army, Junior McManus, Wiley McManus, Army, George R. McNeely, Army, Gibbon Elliott McNeely, Air Force, Robert Nay McNeely Sr., Navy, Robert Nay McNeely Jr., Roy Norman Minor, Air Force, Lester D. Marks Jr., Marion Oscar Marks, Navy, Olin Eugene Massey, George Matthew Miller, Navy, James Franklin Moore, Army, Harvey Pruitt Mullis, Navy, Jacob William Mullis, Navy, James Larry Mullis, Bobby Lee Mullis Sr., Army. William P. Mullis Jr., Army. William Ray Mullis, Army. Malcolm Myers. W. Stephen Neal, Army. Wiley Moore Neal, Navy. Arnold Nelson, Army. Leeler Bradley Nelson, WAAC, Army. Jody Oscar Nesbitt, Army. Taylor P. Nesbitt Jr., Army. John Malcolm Niven. R. W. Norwood, Confederate Army. Charlie Pinkerton, Army. Perry Peck Plyler, Army. Warren Carter Plyler Sr., Army. Grady Polk. Thomas L. Presley, Army. Henry L. Pryor, Army. T. R. Purves, Navy.
Cecil Rape, Army. David Riggleman, Army. Ernest L. Rich, Army. Fred A. Robinson, Army. William Tate Robinson, Navy. Craven W. Rogers. Grover E. Rogers, Jr. Simon L. Rogers, Jr., Army Air Corps. Wiley Delaney Rogers III, Air Force. J.R. Shrimpshire, Army. Robert C. Seacrest, Army. Ted Sellers, Navy. John Herman Shannon Sr., John Herman Shannon Jr. A. Carter Sims. Billy A. Sims, Army. Henry Alexander Sims. M.F. Sloan, Air Force. David Craig Smith, Air Force. Louis Paul Schneider, Navy. Edgar Morgan Spittle, Army. Franklin L. Stanley, Navy. Frank H. Steele, Army. Gaston Neely Steele, Army. Joseph Connor Steele. William R. Steele, Army. Clinton M. Stevens, Army. William Henry Stevenson. Clyde Alonzo Taylor, Air Force. Collins Denny Thompson, Army. Arden A. Tysinger, Army. Roy C. Tysinger, Army. Henry Olin Tyson. Robert Homer Tyson, Army. Billy Ray Watts, Army. Hal McLaughlin Weir, Army. Hansel E. Weir, Army. William Yates Weir, Navy. Charles E. Williams, Army. Theodore Donald Zimmer, Army.
Thank you. We are going to be laying the last few wreaths. The Honor Guard will be doing that. I want to thank all of you who have come out, not just for the ceremony, but here to lay a wreath today. I've had countless family members talk to me and tell me that they might not be able to be here, but how much it means to them that a wreath will be laid today on behalf of their family member.